Man, this is a surprising one. Elon Musk has a cult that follows him. He's had a cult for over a decade now. Reddit, the tech bros, niche corners of the internet, and now all of Twitter. He's basically this deified figure that people just want to be. They suck his dick, they glaze him constantly, it's extremely annoying, they're willing to warp reality in their own minds around his whims. It's very embarrassing if you're not also part of the, mind control spell that Elon has on people, and it's only just lesser than that of Donald Trump's cult of personality that he's built. But it is not uncommon for people like Elon, big celebrities, to build a fan base so dedicated that it almost becomes a cult of personality. For a while, Elon barely fed into the cult that was forming around him. But eventually, when he realized it was an opportunity, he grabbed that opportunity with both hands and never let go. Non-stop, constantly striving to get into people's line of attention. But there's another celebrity, one who has not tried, and not try-harded, I should say, to get to where they are in terms of the amount of attention they get, the amount of fame they have, and that is the comedian Bill Burr. This guy went from doing stand-up comedy to appearing in Breaking Bad, and now in Star Wars, and now he's hosting, one of the biggest podcasts out there. He is one of the most known names in all of comedy. He is an actor, a celebrity, people love him. He is very popular and very well liked and considered one of the best, if not by many people considered the best, comedian around today. And certainly ever. And so, Bill Burr calling out Elon Musk is one of those situations where there's definitely going to be an overlap in the fan base Venn diagram of Bill Burr and Elon Musk. And it's a matter of which side of them in this fan base breakup, which one of them will get the biggest side of the broken cookie, so to say, right? Like, who will end up with the most support? Will Bill calling out Elon end up acting as a counter to the popularity of Elon Musk? I'm curious what you guys think. Comment down below. I really am curious to read your responses when I end up uploading this, to read the comment section. Let's check this out. Comedian Bill Burr's Twitter got flagged for ruthlessly mocking Elon Musk. This is a video from The Humanist Report from 10 hours ago. Brand new. Good shit. Let's see what this is all about.
I'll tell you what's funny. I made fun of the fucking Twitter guy for fucking Sieg Heiling not once but twice. And
wait, he calls him the Twitter guy? Damn. That's some shade, bro. Okay. All right, Bill. He calls Elon the Twitter guy. Ooh.
I never look at my emails. I was scrolling through my emails and it said my Twitter account had been flagged for inappropriate. I don't even tweet anymore. It had been flagged for whatever. What a fucking baby. Just like Hitler. A fucking baby. How about the fact that
damn! Fuck, dude. I didn't know he was spitting fire like that. Okay. Listen, I don't want to glaze the man too much, but I didn't expect this. I thought maybe he just talked a little shit, maybe just gave a few little jabs to Elon's ribs or something. I didn't expect him to go for the throat. But then again, isn't that Bill Burr's reputation? He always goes for the throat, relentlessly.
The Twitter guy he's not even from here. He's from South Africa. He comes to this country and wants to turn it into a fucking dictatorship. He doesn't feel that we deserve democracy. Can you just imagine doing that?
He's making a good point. Elon Musk is not American. He's a literal immigrant given unelectoral power, extreme power despite not being elected to that position, and using that power to destroy our democracy and federal government. And I'd say that, honestly, the worst part of it is that a pretty substantial and loud proportion of Americans are in favor of this and cheering it along every step of the way. Dark gothic woke. And then the cherry on top is he's unbearably cringe. Elon is so fucking cringy. I am become meme. Pretty much.
going to another country and just deciding, yeah, you know what, I'm going to change this form of government because I've decided. Yeah, he doesn't mind living under a dictatorship as long as he's on the good side of it. Fucking laminated face cunt. Hey, now what are you going to do? Reflag my account?
Laminated faced cunt. Damn. Shit.
That was a clip from the February 17th episode of Bill Burr's Monday Morning Podcast, where he says that Elon Musk literally flagged his Twitter account to, I guess, retaliate against him for daring to mock him, which isn't just embarrassing and childish and shows that he can't take criticism. It's also very short-sighted because picking a fight with a comedian like Bill Burr is not going to end well, but he just couldn't help himself. And by the way, Bill Burr is not the only comedian who's going after Elon Musk lately, and we'll get to that later. But it's just ironic to me that the world's richest man can't take a joke, even though he himself insists that comedy is being destroyed by people because they get too offended. I mean, he said...
No, comedy's back. They saved comedy. Memes are saved. We can finally have a good time again. Remember Elon's cringe-ass CPAC speech? They saved comedy. Elon has become meme.
This at CPAC last week.
I mean, the sort of the left wanted to make comedy illegal, you know? Like, you can't make fun of anything. So then it was like, comedy sucks. It's like, nothing's funny. You can't make fun of anything. It's like, legalize comedy. Yeah.
Legalize comedy. Yeah. Hold on, I gotta do the Elon face. Hold on. That's Elon's laughing face. I swear to God. I literally have to like tuck my chin in because like Elon. Okay, I'm gonna give you guys a little bit of a chud phrenology lesson here. Okay, the jaw and the skull structure of the conservative compared to that of the progressive. As you can see, the progressive has a defined jawline. It comes down and creates a distinct angle. Comes about with a chin that juts forward, a strong and powerful jawline. While the Elon, well, you can't even tell where the jaw begins. It honestly might start around here. It's basically like a little bit of shadow, like where you can see there's a little bit of chin sticking out. But for the most part, he looks like a fucking bird because his upper lip sticks out past his lower lip. He's got an overbite, and it's not very Chad. Like, the guy on the left is Chadly with his face structure, but Elon is just, like, he's had surgery to make himself look like a Chad, and he's still just a chud.
Comedy.
He is such a fucking loser, goddamn. But I mean, this is the guy who's accusing everyone else of not being able to take a joke. Meanwhile, he's literally flagging Bill Burr's inactive Twitter account to punish him for doing comedy at his expense. I mean, you can't make this shit up. Hypocrisy doesn't even begin to describe it. But after hearing that Bill Burr was flagged and that Musk was trying to censor him, I had to figure out what Bill Burr said to get Elon Musk so triggered, and I found it. And now I understand why Elon Musk was so offended by it, because Bill Burr didn't just roast him for his Sig Heil. He hit the deepest insecurities that Elon Musk has, and he very obviously hit a nerve, hence why Elon Musk tried to censor him. But without further ado, This is the clip from the January 30th episode of Bill Burr's podcast that made Elon Musk so upset.
Hey, Elon Musk, if you don't mind, we'd like to enjoy our life. I don't think we need to reboot Adolf Hitler, you fucking lunatic. I'm sorry pretty girls don't like you until you have $1 billion. Maybe Elon, he has all this money and power, and he thought it was going to fill that fucking void, and it...
The thing is, Bill has a reputation for just saying it like it is, much like how people praise Trump for saying it like it is when what Trump does is spew bullshit. Bill Burr spews real shit, not bullshit. So, like, it's interesting to see. This is, like, very much like an immovable object meets... or an unstoppable object meets an immovable wall type situation. You know what I mean?
Didn't. And rather than face it in a panic of the profound loneliness. Okay, and I'm coming from an empathetic place here because I experienced that when I took mushrooms. It's a profound sense of loneliness. And then you either face that and figure out where it is, or you just go full Nazi. And go. I feel he's more Mussolini. If I'm to look at his face, I feel he's more Mussolini than he is Hitler. I got to be honest with you. The fact that he did that,
yeah, fair. Trump's Hitler,
and everyone isn't fucking outraged is just is beyond me. because I always felt like this country collectively all agreed that Hitler was not a good person, to put it mildly. And the irony that this fucking asshole was able to make a...
Dude, we used to just kill Nazi zombies all day for fun, okay? Go-to villain. Let's not... Yeah, Nazis. Or let's make it spicier. Nazi zombies. You know, like, you did, like... They were literally, like, the punching bag. The fodder that everyone agreed, like, yeah... You should keep your hands to yourself, and except for if you meet, like, a clan member. If a guy's in, like, a clan hood, you know, kick his ass. That used to be, to some extent, like, the cultural idea until this, like, weird, psyoped, pussy idea of accepting every intolerant idea and thought worldview became more prevalent than the idea of, like, making Nazi shit teeth. You know what I mean? Like, that used to be culturally, like, a thing that was encouraged and sort of made to be, like, that's a badass thing to do.
$1 billion in the nation that those kids saved in the 1940s would then turn around and fucking spoon with the person that was killing their fucking fellow soldiers. It's beyond me. It's just fucking beyond me. You know what he reminds me of? Like, back in the day, like, when I was coming up, there was an entire generation of comedians that I was in that was enamored with Bill Hicks. And you'd see these Bill Hicks ripoffs, and they would go on stage, and they would have like a leather jacket, and they'd be smoking a cigarette, talking about society, man. I feel like he's doing that. I think he's like a recovered nerd, and now he's trying to be like the bad boy, this bad boy that Kate Moss would date. And I just don't think it's going to happen, no matter how much money he has. I think that realization hit him, and he didn't know how to handle it. And in a panic, he went full fucking Third Reich. He went Fourth Reich. He's trying to fucking, he's trying to keep it going. Sorry, I'm laughing about this.
Yeah, I honestly, like, I am surprised that he went this hard. Like, I don't know why. I guess I had a lower expectation of Bill Burr, to, like, say it how it is, I suppose, when that is his reputation. But I just don't expect, like, general celebrities to have, like, the best political takes. But, man, I mean, I guess it makes sense. Like, he's just paying attention to the situation, and he's not going to buy the bullshit. I'm glad that there are people with a prominent platform who are seeing what's happening, and they are having the normal reaction to that. Like, he's not bending the knee, kissing the ring of Trump, as Endo Kukin put it. He's just saying exactly what any normal person should be capable of recognizing is going on right now.
Shit, because I don't know what to do about it. It's fucking terrifying. It is absolutely fucking terrifying. Not that he did it, because there's idiots everywhere. It's that the lack of we need to stop this fucking immediately is beyond disturbing.
Yeah,
I can see how that
is why Elon Musk was so mad at Bill Burr. And after hearing that, I can't not see Mussolini whenever I look at Elon Musk's big dumb face. Not necessarily because they look similar, but because they both have certain looks about them. Almost like their skin is a plastic texture, or laminated, as Bill Burr put it. But Bill Burr, what are you saying here about Elon Musk? I actually think that he did go full Nazi because he can't find love. I genuinely believe.
We know that every conservative accusation is a confession. They call progressive people and celebrities lizards a lot, dude. I think there's some actual lizard people, maybe. Like, it's always projection. Are we sure the lizard people thing isn't also projection? Next guy I see call a progressive a lizard person, I'm gonna pull on their skin. I'm gonna take the risk, alright?
That Bill Burr's onto something here, because this male loneliness epidemic that we hear a lot about, it is correlated with far-right politics. And broadly speaking, the issue of male loneliness is compounded by neoliberal policies and a lack of economic opportunity for young men. And even though Musk's extremism probably isn't the result of economic anxiety, I think that we can probably rule that out. His loneliness and insecurity does make him susceptible to right-wing radicalization in the same way that young men might be susceptible to it, because...
I'm sorry. I'm going to continue disagreeing with the rest of the leftist community. Men are not experiencing a loneliness epidemic because of policy. I will say a large part of it is definitely financial. Like, for sure, policy that improves the financial position of Gen Z, and particularly Gen Z men, would definitely help when it comes to dating, because dating is expensive. And if you're working a lot because you need money to get by, you don't have time to date. And being in a relationship is even more expensive, so you don't have time or money to date or be in a relationship. That can definitely be a thing for some people. But the Democrats have always pushed policy millions of times more helpful to the average American, especially if you're like a young person coming into the working into the workforce. The Democrats have always done way more for those people than the Republicans have. So it's clearly not that. I don't think that like the financial situation of young men is what is causing this. Do you want to know what's causing it? In all honesty, what I think is causing it, at least, I think it's the fact that in the dating scene right now, the interests, I don't know if interest is the right word. I guess it's not the interest. I guess it's the understanding and experiences of each other are very stilted, right? Like, on one hand, we've had this very hard push culturally for guys who are not weirdo creeps. Those are the guys who would take this cultural push seriously and allow it to affect their behavior, are a lot less... they're worried about coming off as creepy or imposing on a woman and being like, oh, go on a date with me or whatever when the girl's not interested, because it might come off as creepy or unwanted, and you don't want to end up making someone feel uncomfortable. And so a lot of guys have gotten a lot more passive when it comes to engaging in the dating scene. And on top of that, it almost seems like women have gotten more shy and less likely to approach. And so both men and women have gotten more shy and less likely to approach for different reasons. I think for a lot of women, they're afraid of the possibility that a guy they could be approaching could be some weirdo creep incel Andrew Tate fan, especially with how things are now with Donald Trump getting elected. That's kind of exacerbated things. And then for a lot of young men, they might be some like weirdo right-winger who thinks that like any woman might falsely accuse them of rape and try to ruin their life or something. Or they might just be scared of making that girl feel uncomfortable. And I think that's been like 90% of the stories I've heard from Gen Z dudes and Gen Z women talking about like how it's hard to find anyone in the dating scene right now. Like it's hard to date and form relationships in that way. I think that's a big part of it. I think it's literally just that right now, culturally, men and women are in really different places, and there's not like this broad generalized communication of intent and will, and it's basically leading to near equal levels of loneliness. Women will never be at the same level of loneliness as men in general, just due to the basic fact that like there will always be men approaching like a bunch of women constantly. And so if those women are interested in anything, then they'll just be able to say yes. But we're obviously going to see a faster rate of decline for sexual and romantic activity for men faster than we'll see for women. But women are experiencing the same trend. Everyone is getting more socially isolated. Everyone is getting basically men and women are communicating less on a broader scale. There's this weird gender war dynamic that's playing into it. And I'd say that's a big part of why a lot of these young men are feeling so lonely, and why a lot of them are seeking answers from people like Donald Trump, people like Andrew Tate, because they, even though they're part of the problem, are trying to offer them a too good to be true solution, that they're too wishful thinking to think for a second, maybe becoming a hateful misogynist is not the only way to find love.
Of their loneliness as well, because it fosters a sense of hopelessness that's akin to the hopelessness felt by young men who have poor economic prospects. Although it's possible that Musk does feel some sort of economic anxiety, just on a different scale, where he feels like the other billionaires are nipping at his heels and they could surpass him and become the first trillionaire before him. I don't know. It's not impossible to think that
a lot of these leftist channels that I'll watch, they really weren't around in the like ex-alt-right era of YouTube, where all these ex-alt-righters were coming out and telling their stories. All of them grew up in the suburbs. Like, there's a few of them, like a decent amount that are rural, but most of them grew up in like middle-class suburbs. The right-wing chud politics developed at a young age or even later into life are a product of privilege. Elon has the time and money to spend all day scrolling through forums and learning these talking points and memes, and that's how he fell for that shit. That's how it works. And for these young men, the vast majority of them are falling for it when they find stuff on the internet. They have money for internet and computer stuff at a young age. They have like probably a pretty solid, stable life. And their biggest problem, the biggest like weight on their mind, is that they're single. And that's what's politically radicalizing them. It's almost like privilege driving someone crazy.
Economic competitiveness still takes place at that level, as absurd as it sounds. I mean, we are dealing with a narcissist and a man baby, so it's possible. But when you take into account the fact that Elon Musk is so desperate to be liked, and a lot of lonely young men themselves are becoming reactionaries, it's also a possibility that Musk adopted a more far-right orientation, in part because he wants to appeal to those young men. And that's not to say that he didn't already have these reactionary views. It's just that the right-wing shift of young men maybe influenced him to lean into his reactionary views a little bit more. But to show you what I mean, a study published in the latest issue of the Journal of Social Science and Medicine found that loneliness was directly correlated with support for right-wing populism, i.e. fascism, in the Netherlands. And generally speaking, populism is associated with loneliness. Now, in a research
Speaking of Nordic countries, you want to know a good example of wealthy, privileged, lonely individuals? Because you're not lonely if you need to go to work every day or if you need to go to school every day and get, like, you. The people who are pushing this male loneliness epidemic are people who are well off enough and privileged. They are not forced by life circumstances to interact with people on a daily basis. Remember that. These are like crypto bros, people who are working online or working from home or whatever. People who are like living with their parents and don't have a job, like that is how they are this lonely and getting radicalized online. They are in a situation where their biggest problem is this idea that feminism is destroying society. These are not economically anxious people. I need to be so clear with this. Economic anxieties are not what are motivating this, okay? Like the idea of better economic opportunities is definitely a carrot on a stick, and it's a factor. But the economic anxiety is not the pressure that's being applied. The exact opposite is what's happening. There's a vacuum rather than a high pressure, and that vacuum is being filled with nonsense conspiratorial made-up problems.
Research review by Brad Stulberg published in Time in 2022, he explained how extended loneliness specifically makes you more susceptible to right-wing radicalization, writing, "Loneliness tends to build on itself. Dr. Caciapo found that when someone is lonely for an extended period of time, they become more likely to further isolate, which in turn makes them lonelier and thus more anxious, insecure, and fearful. This may be exacerbated by a cutthroat economy in which those struggling to make it have little or no time to build community, and those at the top all too often suffer from status-driven workaholism, which also crowds out time for social connection." In fact, a 2021 study published in the British Journal.
There are the people who are nonstop workaholics that don't have time for like a social life, but those lonely people are not spending inordinate amounts of time on social media and incel forums learning right-wing talking points and joining a cult. They're busy working, just like they were too busy to make friends before. The people who are part of this cultural movement have a lot of free time to be online. Having a lot of free time is an indication of extreme privilege. I'll tell you that. That's something you learn pretty quickly in your adult life, is that when you see someone with a lot of free time, that might be, they are rich. They are richer than any person with infinite money could be if they have a lot of free time to spend. That is the best form of wealth anyone can have.
Journal of Psychology found that neoliberalism can reduce well-being by promoting a sense of social disconnection, competition, and loneliness. These findings echo what I found in reporting from my recent book, The Practice of Groundedness. When we are constantly focused on the next thing and trying to gain a comparative advantage, we generally don't build great connections. We too often prioritize productivity over people, optimization.
Being disabled and not being able to work or get out of the house or do everything that you want to do is not free time. That's not... Like, your definition of free... When I say free time, I mean, like, oh, I'm fully able-bodied and have no responsibilities, and thus I am free to go do whatever the fuck I want. That is free time. If you're, like, disabled and collecting disability and not able to work, that's not free time. That's just your life. Free time would be, like, if you had a day where you had, like, a really low-pain day and you had plenty of money set aside to go do a thing that you wanted to do. That would be what I'd consider free time for you. What you'd consider free time varies on a case-by-case basis. I'm talking about, like, if I see someone out, like, at a water park, or, like, every day they're posting on social media that they're at a water park, at the beach, going out for a jog, etc., etc., they're not disabled. They have a lot of free time, and that they're wealthy, probably in money, but what I'm jealous of is their wealth of, like, they just do what they like. They've got all the time in the world to do, like, cross things off their bucket list, right? That's what life is all about, in my opinion. Like, that's what you should be doing with your life, is trying to achieve as many of those things you want to do. Like, have you ever seen a video of something cool and we're like, I want to do that? Do that before you die. That should be one of your life goals.
Over community. This may feel good in the short run, but it tends to leave us worse off in the long run. He continues, a study published in the journal Group Processing and Intergroup Relations found that social exclusion is a leading factor behind radicalization. A 2021 study conducted by researchers at Rand Corporation found that loneliness is one of the predominant reasons people adopt extremist views and join extremist groups. A study published earlier in 2022 in the journal Political Psychology found that weak social belonging is associated with an increased probability to vote for populist parties, especially on the right. So this is what's happening at the individual level. But when you apply this to the macro level, we're beginning to understand one of the many reasons why capitalism inevitably devolves into fascism. People work longer hours for lower wages. Young people today just don't have the upward mobility that their parents and grandparents.
I don't necessarily agree with that. Like, it's what's happening right now is democracy. Fuck, man, dude. A lot of you in chat probably agree with this stuff, but, like, I'm going to be honest, the more I research about history and politics, these are just buzzword lefty talking points what he's saying right now. Like, late-stage capitalism brings about, fascism. It's an easy talking point because it's unfalsifiable, and it sounds right. It's very similar to conservative talking points, but it's an extremely lazy representation of what's going on. The reality of the situation is, up until Trump took office, the U.S. was rising in every measurable stat in terms of, like, Americans' quality of life and their, like, economic viability and stability. The issues that we're facing right now are social problems, largely enforced by things separate from politics in the policy sense, right? Donald Trump has built a cult of personality, taken advantage of a manufactured culture war, taken full control of the messaging landscape and everyone's entertainment, and that's how we got here. You can keep on saying, oh, this is because of capitalism failing as much as you want, but the fact is, people are just being brainwashed by misinformation, and this is not like a evils of capitalism thing. I mean, in a way it is, because, you know, the oligarchs and demagogues. But this is less so capitalism has destroyed our country, and more so that fascism has been chosen over democracy through the means of democracy.
Parents had. You know, they can't buy homes, they can't buy cars, they're in debt. They barely have time for a social life because they're so overworked, and they're crippled with anxiety and depression that goes untreated since mental health care in this country is very inaccessible. And to the extent that they can even have a social life, it almost exclusively takes place online, which poisons their perception of people since these platforms incentivize.
I mean, I don't disagree with everything he's saying. It's an oversimplification of things that I've just heard these words from every lefty YouTuber a billion times, and it's like, can we, like, dig a little deeper than just copying it up to like late stage capitalism leading to anxieties and pressures that push people to be lonely, and thus they start to pursue these radical ideas? Because, like, it's deeper than even that.
Devise toxic behavior to keep you engaged longer. So, you know, it's easy to see how in this environment people gradually become more angry and desperate, and they start looking for answers as to why things are so bad. You know, maybe you stumble across a right-wing influencer like Andrew Tate who tells you women are actually the problem, not you. Exactly. And through him, you find maybe a different red pill influencer who tells you that your masculinity is under attack. And over time, you begin to build up this resentment towards feminism.
But the key is the people who are watching these influencers are the privileged ones who have a lot of free time, to be very clear. Xander Hall, the U.S. had the same arguments and used buzzwords and oversimplification 100 to 150 years ago? Yeah. I mean, sure, but it's not 150 years ago. We can update our talking points, I think. I don't know. I think this is a good video overall. I more so wanted to talk about the Bill Burr stuff. I love that they called him, he called Elon the Twitter guy. That's actually pretty top tier, especially because you still use the term Twitter. He's the Twitter guy, not the X guy, the Twitter guy. And you take all of his other, like, I guess you could say genuine business accomplishments away from him as well. And that's an extra layer of comedy, in my opinion. I'm gonna be honest, I forgot that my mom was visiting and is upstairs right now, and I heard footsteps, and I was about to tweak and go for my... I was about to tweak, bro. I thought someone was breaking into my house. I'm not used to having a guest. Anyway. With that said, if you guys enjoyed this segment, if you found it entertaining, educational, or enjoyable in any way, please consider leaving a like. Drop a thumbs up. It really does mean a lot. Every single one that you leave on my new uploads, and especially my streams, goes a long way to boost my channel in real time in the algorithm. It really means a ton and helps a lot. You can also subscribe and ring the bell icon to turn on all notifications if you want to see more from me in the future as well, so that YouTube actually tells you when I go live or upload new videos. And of course, if you want to see more from me on other platforms, you can follow my social medias, linked down below in the description. And don't forget, if you want to support me directly, financially, help me keep the lights on and a roof above my head here at the Xander Hall Studio, then please consider donating, subscribing, or gifting a sub on my website, xanderhall.com/live. Or support me through YouTube, Twitch, Streamlabs, Stream Elements, Patreon, or buy some merch through the Streamlabs link down below in the description. Regardless of how you support the stream, though, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this one. I hope to see you again.